Hey everybody, we're going to do hopefully a really pretty resin bowl, and I'm going to use Counterculture DIY Artist Resin Medium Viscosity, my go-to resin. And I think about 16 ounces of resin. I'm going to do 18 instead, and I'll do a coaster or two if I have extra. So I'm going to do 9 of part B first, and then A goes into B, and it's just much easier because this is like corn syrup, and if you put it in first it sticks to the bottom and it's just harder to mix in general, so it's easier to put A into B. For safety reasons, I recommend a face mask, full face, partially where it covers your nose and mouth, goggles or eye wear like glasses, just because tiny micro bubbles float up when you're mixing. It's just easier and better for you to be on the safe side. Pulling up my 6 minutes on my timer. I'm going to mix for 6 minutes, and I wanted to show you mixing is not a race. You don't have to do it fast, just do it consistently. You can go around in circles, you can go back and forth. Literally, you can do it at this pace the whole 6 minutes. It starts out cloudy, it will clear up as you've mixed it. So I'll be back after 6 minutes. Okay, there's the timer that went off. Now I'm going to go to stopwatch, start. Okay. We're going to time this because we're using white into the colors and we want kind of a special effect, so timing is important with this. I'm on a turntable, and reason being is I have a beautiful huge Counterculture mat underneath me. Highly recommend it. It's the best mat out there on the market, silicone mat. But if I'm working a couple of projects, I'll put them on something that's hard surface that I can lift it and transfer it without messing up a mold. You can't pick up a mold, it will automatically destroy your project. So I've got a 5-ounce cup that I've put a piping bag in, stuck it in there, and I'm going to pipe my white out this time. I'm going to use Bray Reese, which this bottle is a mess, but it is a metallic gold. It's leaked all over the bottle. Sometimes I'm really messy. The Bray Reese blush. I don't know what brand it is. It's a metallic rose gold. I got a set of pearlescent metallics from a company, and I don't know what brand it is. White Pinata alcohol ink with Cast and Craft white pigment, and sparkle white, my go-to for whenever I want sparkle in any color, and that's from Etsy Funshine Color Shop. Again, I'm using Counterculture DIY Medium Viscosity Resin, which is my go-to resin. Let's just go ahead and mix the white up before we get started. I'm going to give myself, this is a 3-ounce cup. I'm going to give myself about 2.5 ounces, I think. So I'm going to do, I may add more. There's another little drip coming off, so that's 6. I wipe my bottle off so it doesn't make a messy top. I'm going to put in about 6 alcohol ink drops. Sparkle white. I've got a spoon that's about the size of my finger. It's not an hors d'oeuvre spoon, which is probably a good teaspoon or so. I'm going to put in a healthy spoonful of that. This is my only one I'm mixing up. I'm going to move it away so that it doesn't get in my face or in the mold. Even though if it landed in the mold, it would just give it extra sparkle, which would be totally perfect and fine with me. So I'm looking for a little transparency, but I want it to feel white. I don't want my mold filled up all the way. I want it to be less, really a 1/4 of an inch or less. So let's just go ahead and put the resin in. I'm also going to use gold leaf, just a hint of gold leaf. And usually in this kind of design, you're gonna, the bottom side, the underneath side is the side that you're gonna really want it to show the effect that you're going for. Okay, I'm going to let this settle for a minute and see if I need to add to it. I'm also going to use Bray Reese Brown. So I'm gonna go ahead and put some resin in my mold, my coaster mold, just so I have a piece to go with it. I like to have an extra piece, just kind of as a thank you whenever somebody purchases something. And then the rest will go into the tray. I like to, you can turn your cup upside down on the counterculture mat and let it just drain, and then peel it out of the plastic container. If it's flexible, you can kind of bend it and manipulate it to get the resin out. Or you can clean it out, which I'll show you how to do that here shortly. I do wipe off all my sticks totally, put it aside and let it cure, and use it over and over again. We're at 8 minutes, so we have plenty of time to do whatever we need to do. I am going to go around the edge and try to get any potential bubbles. You can also spray your mold before you put your resin in with alcohol. Always using 91% or higher, and that will often also help with bubbles. I never remember to do it, but that's a trick that you can do to help with bubbles. So I am going to put a little bit of gold leaf in the middle. Start out small and then you can work your way up. So everything I'm doing on the big mold, I'm doing on the side as well. Make sure you're centered. Okay, so now it's time for the inks, and usually the gold floats. So I think I'm going to start first with the gold. So that looks pretty powerful, and it is floating on the surface, which is usually what happens with gold. So I'm going to leave that for now. I'm not going to use any more. I am going to put 1 or 2 drops of brown in the middle. I think right now I'm just going to start with 1 drop. So again, this is the rose gold. I don't want to squirt it out. I had taken the top off, and now it's going to act weird. I don't know if this was the side that the gold sprinkled to, but it's got a really pretty shimmer to it. It either comes out in a drop or you squirt it, I tell you what. Okay, now I'm going to do the blush. So see how it looks pink going in, but then it kind of, when it gets into the resin, it kind of is not so pungent, and that's good. I would really like to put some gold around here. I'm going to put it very sparingly. We're at 18 minutes, so we're good on the time. I'm going to put 1 more drop of brown, just because it gives a little depth in the center. So I'm going to take a stick instead of my skewer, and I'm going to just try to fan out this gold a little bit. I'm really touching it light here. I don't want to stir up that gold leaf. Okay, so when you put alcohol inks or alcohol on the surface of your work, do not use fire immediately. Let it kind of dissipate, or let it kind of sink in. Give it a little time, and then you should be safe, because alcohol and fire make more fire. I've discovered that. So just give it some time. It's had a little time, so I'm wiping off my stick here. Not getting too close to the surface, because otherwise it will start smoking up and you'll see flames or smoke. The other thing you can do now that it's in there is you can like spritz with alcohol It puts little tiny bubbles into your inks, but that kind of goes away too. It'll kind of, you know, readjust itself, so don't really worry about the little bubbles. Like here's a spot, but you'll not see it really in the grand scheme of things. So I just want to, if I have a blob, like there's a blob of gold here, is just try to get it dispersed a little bit. So it's not doing a real bad job of floating on the surface, which is good because I've done this before and the gold stayed kind of on the surface and it didn't get set up really well. We've got this 5-ounce cup with the piping bag. It's 23 minutes, so the white is not, it's just slightly warm right now. I'm going to wipe the stick off. I'm going to transfer it into the bag. Now I can wipe my stick off. Take the bag out of the cup. It's not really smart to do anything over your project. I'm just doing this for filming purposes. Push your white down and get all the air out of the bag and then twist. I'm trying not to do it while I talk because of the microphone. Twist it really well so it doesn't squeeze back into the upper part of your bag. Then we're going to cut the tip off here in a minute. Right now it's 25 minutes. It's starting to warm up pretty good. I'm going to give it about another minute. Cut the tip off, not super large. Do it over here and not over my piece. And I'm really wrapping that up in my palm of my hand. Don't leave it hanging because then you can drag it into your piece. Now I'm going to basically just kind of do what feels kind of like the center of a flower. And you can kind of make it random. You can even kind of make it a little bit jiggity, a little bit pointed. You don't have to have a steady hand to do this. Don't make the lines super thick because then they will be really heavy and kind of float to the bottom and puddle. I'm hoping that this will not happen with these. And then I'm gonna, I think, go to a little bit more rounded petals here. I'm gonna take it all the way. Here I'm just going to go around the edge and just take it all the way up to the edge of that mold. And if your bag is getting, you know, like where you don't have much, where you don't feel much white, you can, you know, readjust it, squeeze it, do whatever you need to do. You just keep twisting and pushing it towards the end. On the coaster, I'm just going to do a swirl that goes all the way around to the edge. Just one big swirl. Now it has sunk below the middle here, so you can't really see what it looks like, and that's okay. Don't panic. Just for fun, because there's enough left. You could do little dashes in some of the petals, and those will just kind of end up looking like little points that go inwards, because everything goes to the center when you're dealing with resin. When it cures, it goes to the center of your project. I'm not going to do all of them. I'm just going to do some of those in the middle. On my coaster, I'm just going to do the little, what you slice it in at 8 or 10 or 12 times, however many you want to do it. I'm hoping I didn't use too much brown in the middle. And I'm going to spritz it with alcohol just to get any extra bubbles. And cover. And be back in 5 hours. Now that it's covered, I wanted to show you that you can either turn your cup over on your counterculture silicone mat, which will do perfectly because everything peels off this counterculture mat like a dream. But you can also come in with the paper towel, a couple of paper towels, and just wipe it out. And this takes a couple of times. The first time I just used like 2 paper towels. Wipe it to get the majority of the resin, even where the outside is dripped. Then I come in, I'll spritz it pretty good with alcohol. Another paper towel. I'll spritz it again. And when it's clean, it'll just slide. It's very slick, and then you know that you got pretty much all that resin. And if there's a little left over, it will definitely cure probably within an hour, but you know, in time for you to do your next project for sure. So I do the spout really well because that's where a lot of drips happen. And then I put that aside and it's ready to go for the next project. So I can't wait to see how this one turns out. These are going to be for the upcoming auction the weekend of September 10th, 9th and 10th. This is Saturday and Sunday. So I'll be back in 5 hours. Okay, I messed up and wasn't paying attention to the time. So I may not be able to mold this one. I'm so mad at myself. But anyway. It's not very flexible, and usually when it's not flexible it means it may break. So there's what it looks like, and it's actually really pretty on this side too. My other option is to make a tray out of it. It's kind of on the thin side because I was going to make the bowl. So the problem is when you take something out of a mold and you can't really put it back in because the resin will creep underneath. But what I can do is I can do both sides. So I think I'm going to put it back in the mold. So it won't have a perfect seal, and wherever it's not perfectly sealed, there will be possibly leaks underneath. And what I'll have to do is figure out a way to coat the underside to disguise the leaks. I wish I could perfectly seal this thing in. Okay, I've mixed resin up for 6 minutes. This is fast set, which is more bubbly and not as clear, but it's going to be the bottom. I'm going to put the Bravery alcohol ink. Just going to put a bunch in because I don't use that one often. So just put a big squirt in. Alcohol inks are just like mica powder or anything else. You got to really stir it well to get it mixed in. Also with fast set, you only have about 10 to 15 minutes of working time, and then it gets really, really tacky. Again, this is just going to be the bottom of the, which is now going to be a tray. When I take it out, it's going to, I'm going to put some knobs on the top and a top coat, but I should not have tinted my resin gold, because if it leaks, it's going to be gold on the underside. I wasn't thinking. I've been painting today and it just really got me sidetracked. So I'm going to try really hard to press this down. I can't believe I did that. I could just cross my fingers and hope it turns out. Pray that it doesn't seep through much, or if any. I can probably sand it if I have to, but I don't really want to. I am going to turn this over on the mat, let it just drain out because it's fast set, and I don't want to try to clean that up because it gets really tacky really fast. I'm going to cover it. Here's the coaster that I did, which actually turned out really pretty. Be back tomorrow. Okay, let's see if I ruin this. It didn't leak. Yay. Awesome. So what I'll do is I'll put a flood coat and handles or knobs. So when you turn your cup upside down, if you just squeeze it, it will generally come out in one piece. That's cool how the drips are gold at the end, a bit more clear down here. So I've got a few little pieces to get out, but it came out pretty good. If you have a little sticky residue, you just spray inside the cup, go around and just clean with that alcohol any sticky areas.